dramatic step. But it's very hard for me to say he shouldn't because I just don't have the intelligence, and the president hasn't articulated yet.
We can take the island. That's not the question. The question is what happens after. Welcome to American hearings. Senator Kennedy is not saying the president is wrong about Kharg Island, but is asking the follow-up that he says nobody has answered yet. And when he explains why Iran's leadership can't be negotiated with the same way you'd negotiate with Putin or Xi, the reason he gives is going to stay with you.
Hey, Senator.
How concerned are you about a ground incursion into Kharg Island? The president's floating it today.
Well, I said yesterday we've reached the point where we need to go forward. We need to come home. The president has intelligence that I don't have. And so it's very difficult to answer a question about what should we do next. It's a bold step. The question, and I don't see how we can do it without troops on the ground. The question is not, can we take Kharg Island? We can. The question is, what do we do after we get it? I don't know if the president has made the final decision. An alternative would be the issue being the blockade, both blockades. An alternative would be to follow a plan developed by the Navy to very aggressively use our Air Force and Navy to start escorting commercial ships back and forth through the strait. Now, if we do that, Iran will respond, and we're going to have to respond. That is a step, to me, that should be tried before we commit troops. But it's important to put this in context. Why are we in Iran? We went in because our intelligence showed that Iran's new plan to develop a nuclear weapon was to manufacture as many conventional weapons as it could and then turn to the United States and Israel and say, we've got a stockpile here. We're going to start our nuclear weapon program again. You can bomb us like you did last June. But if you do, we have the conventional weapons now to destroy the Middle East. And by the way, our missiles can reach Berlin and Paris and London. We could not allow that to happen. So the president acted, and he was correct to act. And we have eaten that country and spit out the bones. Do they still have some missiles left? Yeah. And drones, yeah. But we've gotten most of them. The private sector looks like a dog's breakfast. And the blockade is our blockade is slowly strangling the private sector in Iran. So from that perspective, in my opinion, we've achieved the reason that we went in. I have never believed that Iran would turn over its fissile material. I have never believed that Iran will say truthfully, okay, we've given up, we're not going to develop a nuclear warhead. They may promise to do that, but they lie like fish swim. And if the administration is waiting for Iran, the zealots running the country, to say, no mas, you win, it's not going to happen. What Iran wants right now is for them to be able to say, okay, we've changed our mind, or we're thinking about changing our mind. Let's remove both blockades and talk about it for 90 to 120 days. But by the way, in the meantime, give us our money. We should not give them a dime, not in any deal. I'm worried about the move on Kharg Island. I'm not saying the president's wrong, but this is how it started in Vietnam. Committing troops is it's very, very, very dramatic step. But it's very hard for me to say he shouldn't because I just don't have the intelligence, and the president hasn't articulated yet what his next move after we take the island.
Do you have a
Does
sense
Congress
of
need-
how much economic and political runway the administration has in this issue?
Well, I think the president has clearly decided to take the pain. I think he's decided that long term, the benefits of crippling Iran permanently, if possible, are worth the costs to our economy, to our inflation rate, and the world's economy. I think he's made that decision. And it has been painful. And I'm not going to say he's wrong. I've been disappointed. I know the president said some mean things to some of our allies, but I have been disappointed that we've gotten very, very little support. And I will tell you, if the president, I'm not prepared to say yet this is what he should do, but if the president did say, look, we never went in to get the fissile material. We went in to cripple them. Mission accomplished. I'm coming home. Immediately, folks are going to say, well, what about the Strait of Hormuz? It's still closed. The president would say, I think, well, you're right. I didn't close it. Iran did. And it impacts the world. And the world needs to step up and make its feelings known, maybe even through kinetic action with respect to Iran.
Does Congress need to weigh in on the idea of boots on the ground? With Kharg Island being brought up, that's something that seems more likely or realistic.
Look, let me say this again. I don't have the information to say.
Should you all get the information on
Would
that?
you? Let me finish, please. I do not have the information to say that he is wrong. Would I like the information? Yes. But if he shares with us the information, it's going to leak in this hyper-political environment. So I understand why he is. It's just hard for me to evaluate. But it is a huge step. And I don't doubt that we'll succeed. But the question then becomes, the equally important question, what's next? And what is our end goal here? Is our end goal to have Iran say, okay, here's the fissile material, you can come get it? They're not going to do that. I mean, you're dealing with Charlie Manson here. They're not going to do that. Could they say, well, let's have another ceasefire, which was never a ceasefire, and negotiate for 120 days? That's meaningless. It's meaningless. I mean, the people in charge in Iran learned to lie before they learned to talk. And I don't think they'll just make that offer. They want some of their money. The blockade's hurting them. They're starving to death. But it's also hurting the world economy. I just don't understand yet. Again, I'm not saying it's the wrong thing to do. I just don't understand yet how taking Kharg Island is going to make things better. Because you're dealing with evil people, but you're not dealing with rational people. When you deal with Vladimir Putin, he's an evil man. He's got blood under his fingernails, but he's not an irrational man. He's shrewd. Same thing with President Xi. When you deal with the leadership in Iran, they're crazy as a bedbug. They're religious zealots. They think they're on a mission from God. And it's very hard to deal with people like that.
If President Trump did go ahead and put boots on the ground on Kharg Island, would that shift you or your colleagues in any way on a war powers resolution?
I think it would have an impact on a war powers resolution. I would have to, I'd have to see. I'm not going to give you a blank check, my friend, on how I'm going to vote on that. I'd have to hear more about the invasion. But will it have an impact? Well, yeah, certainly it'll have an impact. I'm not inclined to vote for a war powers resolution because I don't want to tie the president's hands. Some people who want the war powers resolution passed are doing it on the basis of principle. They believe in the War Powers Act and think that Congress should have a say. Others, it's purely political. They just want to see him fail because they want to win the midterm elections. And we all know that. I'm not saying I'm Bambi's baby brother here, but in politics has never entered my mind. But I just want to get this one right. But if we commit troops, this is a major, major step. And I'm not worried about taking Kharg Island. I'm worried about what happens next. And why are we doing it? And how is that going to bring Iran to the table? I hope what he does is adopt the Navy plan to become much more aggressive in escorting ships to the Strait. Now, Iran's going to respond, but we're going to respond. And yes, they have drones and missiles and launchers left, but they've only got about maybe a quarter to a third of what they used to have. And they don't have the manufacturing plants to make any more. Okay?
Thanks so much, sir.
Thanks.
See you guys.
Thank you.
Welcome back to American Hearings. Kennedy opens with the intelligence context that drove the original Iran operation, a conventional weapons buildup designed to create a nuclear blackmail umbrella. The mission, as he understood it, wasn't regime change or file material seizure. It was degradation. Prevent Iran from acquiring the leverage to restart its nuclear program under threat of massive retaliation. By that standard, Kennedy argues, the operation has largely succeeded. Launchers gone. Missiles mostly eliminated. Drones neutralized. Air Force, Navy, and air defenses gone. The private sector held together with what he calls spit and duct tape. 20 years and $1 trillion before they are back to even partial capacity. Mission, in that original framing, accomplished. The Kharg Island question is where Kennedy's caution surfaces. He's not opposed on principle, he simply doesn't have the intelligence the president has, and he's honest about that. What troubles him is the absence of a clearly articulated what's next. The Iran leadership analysis is the sharpest section. Putin is evil but rational, calculable, strategic, deterrable. She is the same. The leadership in Iran, Kennedy argues, operates differently. They're religious zealots who believe they're on a mission from God. Traditional deterrence logic doesn't map onto that kind of actor in the same way. His preferred alternative, aggressive naval escort operations through the Strait, provoking Iran to respond, and then responding in kind, is a step short of boots on the ground. He'd try that first. But he won't give a blank check on the war powers question until he knows the full picture. Subscribe to American Hearings.